Welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's Bridge Lunch Break event, Educating for Careers in Michigan. My name is Amber DeLinde. I'm the Membership and Engagement Director at Bridge Michigan, which is your source for nonprofit, nonpartisan news in Michigan. In this hour, we'll discuss post-secondary education opportunities for students in Michigan and how trade schools, colleges, and universities are preparing students for employment and educating students in subject areas that allow them to have thriving careers here in our state. Our special guest panelists today include Ahmad Ezzeddine, Vice President for Academic Student Affairs and Global Engagement at Wayne State University, and Brandy Johnson, President of the Michigan Community College Association. Bridge Michigan education reporter Isabel Lohman will moderate the discussion. Our conversation will begin in just a moment, and Isabel will lead the discussion with our panel for approximately 40 to 45 minutes, and then we'll turn to your questions. If you have questions for our panelists, please type them into the chat at any time. If you're not a panelist, please remain muted throughout today's discussion. We are recording today's conversation, as you heard, and it will be posted on Bridge Michigan's website this week. If you don't already, you can subscribe to our daily or our Education Watch newsletters by visiting www.bridgemi.com and click subscribe. Events like this one are made possible by the support of Bridge members. If you'd like to join our membership community, we'll drop a link to do so in the chat. As a reminder, please stay muted throughout today's conversation. We're so excited to hear from our special guest panelists. We're very grateful that they're here with us today. And at this time, I'd like to hand the reins over to Isabel Lohman.
Hi, everyone. I am the education reporter at Bridge Michigan. My voice is a little weak today, but I'm really excited to be here. So let's just get started. And again, if you have any questions at any point, you can throw it in the chat and we'll be sure to get an answer to you, maybe not this exact second, but within the hour. So let's talk big picture for a second. Across Michigan, Ahmad, is there a consensus about what jobs are needed in the state right now? And do we have a sense of what those types of jobs pay?
Great. First, thank you for the opportunity to be with you today, and thank you all for helping us keep this discussion going. I appreciate what Bridge is doing to create a forum for these types of discussions because they're very important. Yes, there are significant investments, as we may know, that the businesses in the state and the state itself are making to support the transition, for example, to electric vehicles and automation, with the focus on the semiconductor industry nationally and in the state. That will create and require talent for advanced manufacturing jobs that support the knowledge economy, jobs that support the knowledge economy, like computer science, engineering, software engineers, in general. And Michigan has always been a leader in educating engineers, and this will continue and will gain more attention and focus. So we see that as part of that consensus. Everybody, I think, agrees that that's going to continue to be a big need for the state. But we can't also forget about stable industries and jobs like accounting, construction, healthcare. There's always going to be a need for accountants and auditors, construction workers, machinists, electricians, nurses and healthcare providers and social workers. That's something that, I mean, we've seen it also particularly after the pandemic, that demand has increased and will continue, and we see it continuing. And we're certainly continuing as an education institution, continuing to invest in those programs and preparing students and learners for careers in those fields. And all of these careers pay well, these jobs pay well. For engineers, depending on the specialization, starting salaries can range from anywhere $60,000, $70,000 to over $100,000 per year. Hourly workers, jobs rank in these some of these domains can range between 20, 25 to 50 and 60 hours. So these are great careers for Michigan residents, and I think the state is doing a good job in really bringing people together to focus on some of these opportunities in the state, and we're trying to do as much as we can at Wayne State, and other education institutions, I'm sure, are doing the same to really prepare and be ready to support the needs of our citizens in meeting and filling these job opportunities.
Thank you for that. And Brandy, I'm curious from your perspective, where does the community colleges fit into this in both the new and growing industries, as well as some of those consistents like the accounting, construction, and healthcare?
Sure. Thanks so much for having me. So first, I just wanted to give a shout out to the state, the Bureau of Labor Market Information and Strategic Initiatives. To answer your original question, has really significant, important data about those hot jobs, is how they are branded, both at the state level and at the regional level, that shows where jobs are, where there's growth, where there's really good wages, and where there is high demand, with pretty transparent data about the expected wage earnings. And so we are grateful for those tools, and those tools are used by community colleges to drive decision making around programs that will help students prepare for those jobs. I think Ahmad mentioned those key sectors that community colleges play a really integral role in providing training and education and credentials to individuals that will fill those jobs, particularly in the healthcare sector. So all of the positions, including nursing, but then all of those positions that have tech or technician after their name, are really trained at community colleges and are a really vital part of the healthcare workforce. Certainly the skilled trades, advanced manufacturing, and IT are also the big sectors where community colleges can play a role. We also know that most of the jobs, the really good jobs in Michigan, require a bachelor's degree, frankly. Except for very limited cases, community colleges don't confer bachelor's degrees, but so many students choose to start at community college on their way to a transfer path to a university, saving time and certainly significant amounts of money. Over 50%, actually 52% of those that earned bachelor's degrees in Michigan actually have community college transcripted credits that helped them get there. And so community colleges play not only a role in those applied certificate and degree programs that are really meant to help an individual immediately get into the workforce with a good job, they also play a role in terms of transfer pathways for students that want to pursue baccalaureate degrees and beyond.
To that point about a lot of people starting off at a community college and then going to a four-year institution at Michigan or beyond, I'm curious from both of you, is it the jobs of the community colleges and the universities to try to keep people in Michigan? Is that part of their mission? Or should it be part of their mission?
I'll just say briefly, for community colleges, it certainly is, and they overwhelmingly do. Students that attend and graduate from a Michigan community college overwhelmingly tend to stay locally. And that's sort of the magic of community colleges, is that they really provide training that is hyper responsive to that local labor market, and students tend to stay locally, and we do think of it as our mission and in fact it's in the mission of the Community College Association that we have a leadership role to play in terms of not just talent development but community vitality, and ensuring that we are playing a role to keep our communities vibrant.
And I totally agree that for us, it's the same for us. I think we have many of our students come from Michigan, and the majority actually comes from Michigan and stays in Michigan, and we're very proud of that. 90+% of the doctors in Michigan are Wayne State grads, and the same thing for attorney. I mean, there's a large number of our graduates who are here, and I think certainly we want people, these students to stay here. We are investing in them. We're investing in educating them, and I think it is all of our responsibilities to create an environment where we encourage them and provide opportunities for them to stay here. I think that's the other side. We want them to stay, but we need to have the jobs and the environment that facilitates that. And I think currently, certainly, we have there are synergies between what institutions like ours are doing, what the state is doing, what the community colleges are doing. We're all kind of partnering. There's a partnership and collaborate. There are collaborations that haven't necessarily been the trend in the past, but you're seeing now, and we're all focused on really developing that ecosystem that allows and creates those opportunities to want our kids, certainly, to stay here and find opportunities here. We see it also. I'm another part of my responsibilities at the university is managing international students who come here. Here, this is another, again, opportunity to keep that talent here. It's the next. We are in the competition currently is about talent, and to the extent we are providing that talent, we're educating that talent and training it. We want to make sure that we are keeping it here.
I get that. I am from Illinois. I moved to Tennessee after graduating, and my parents were super happy to have me back in the Midwest when I took this job. I don't think they were thinking about the local economy, but trying to keep people where they grew up, I think, is something that a lot of people value. To that point, the state has made some significant investments in the last few years in trying to get people back to school. So, for example, you have the Michigan Reconnect program, where if you're 25 and older and you don't already have a college degree, you can attend your community college, your local community college in district for free. Brandy, I know you've been really instrumental in that. Can you talk a little bit about what we've learned so far about that program and what's working and what we still want to improve on that program?
Sure thing. I think Michigan should be really proud of the leadership and investment that we have made in programs like Michigan Reconnect. Like Isabel mentioned, provides a tuition-free pathway to an associate degree for adults 25 and older. The program has now been up and running for a couple of years. I would say what's working, or one really positive sign that we have as it relates to Michigan Reconnect, is just the interest. We have had over 114,000 people who have applied for the program. So there is some demand and some true interest in pursuing post-secondary education for working aged adults. And we have learned that most of those individuals are in that some college, no degree category in the census or in the American Community Survey. These are individuals that for the most part have at one point since they graduated high school attempted or tried post-secondary and for whatever reason didn't finish. So they have some college credits under their belt, and then were inspired to return because of Michigan Reconnect. And we have some really inspiring human stories of Reconnect graduates. I think the thing that we've learned the most is that tuition alone isn't enough to help students get across the finish line. It certainly gets their attention, and there's a lot of motivation to go back to school. And a tuition-free pathway for in-district students is a huge opportunity. But once students understand some of those non-tuition costs of attendance, they really have to make some tough choices and realize they still have to pay their bills while they're going to college. So you can go part-time with Reconnect. The vast majority of students are also working, but those are competing for the finite amount of time that we all as humans have in our day. So adults' lives are complicated when they are trying to pay the rent, support their children, have a cell phone and internet and transportation. And so we need to continue to invest in student supports, both on the college side, so really high quality advising and counseling, tutoring, but also really making sure that we are helping students get access to resources to cover their basic needs. The last thing I'll say about what is working and what we could even do more of is partnerships with employers. So prior to Michigan Reconnect, the state launched a program using federal COVID relief dollars called Futures for Frontliners. And it was an identically designed program. The only difference was one eligibility criteria. With Michigan Reconnect, you have to be age 25 or older, period. With Futures for Frontliners, you had to be an essential worker working outside of your home during that first wave of COVID, when we didn't know, this was sort of spring, early summer 2020, we didn't know how it spread, and yet we needed these essential critical infrastructure workers to go to work to keep our society running. The enrollment demand for Futures for Frontliners, just as a sort of as a percentage of the eligible population, far surpassed that of Reconnect. And my theory, my educated guess is that it is because employers were the ones that were really pushing Futures for Frontliners. So if you worked at Meijer or Kroger, or you were working as a custodian in a health system, employers could say to you, you've earned this college scholarship because you worked and kept us safe, and you deserved it because of your employment. And we're really encouraging. And I think we need to sort of repeat that playbook with Michigan Reconnect. When it's employers saying, hey, we want you to succeed. We want you to take the next step in this company and get a promotion and move into higher levels and higher wages. And the way you do that is by getting some additional training and skills and education. Employees really respond to that nudge by their employers. And so we need employers to not only encourage them to go, but then also provide some flexibility in terms of ensuring that they have some paid time off to go to class and to do their studies, or maybe the employer kicks in a book scholarship to sort of leverage the full tuition scholarship that Reconnect does. And so that's something that I think I'm really interested in partnering with our employer colleagues and business leaders across the state, as well as the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity.
To that point, a little sneak peek, next week I'll have a story about a group of Michigan Reconnect students. They are working parents, they are people who are older, and one of them actually said that she hasn't had to pay out of pocket for anything because as long as she gets good grades, her employer pays back for her book expenses. So that's one example. Yeah. And I know that there are examples across the country as well of different ways that different people, whether it's the employer or the university or the state, trying to reduce those barriers. So I'll put a link in that in the chat. We did have a question from Anna, who asked if there's any sort of support in Reconnect for people who already have an associate's degree or career certificate, and if they can use that Reconnect money to help complete a bachelor's degree.
So currently, no, although I will say in the governor's executive budget recommendation, she did propose some funding for exactly that population. So particularly those that are really close to a bachelor's degree, or maybe had stopped out during COVID, but we're working toward a bachelor's degree to help them go back. And then I'll also just share, and I think I'm sure we'll talk about Michigan Achievement Scholarship at some point. The Michigan Achievement Scholarship does have a sort of a pathway for individuals. Mind you, it's the class of 2023 and beyond, so we're talking 18-year-olds, not returning adult learners, but students can choose to start at a community college and then transfer to a 4-year with scholarships to help pay for that sort of second half of the bachelor's degree.
And we have created at the university, and I know other universities have done the same, have created the scholarship specifically for future Michigan Reconnect students who can, if they finish, and once they finish their associates, they can transfer and apply for those scholarships to help defray some of that cost. That's in addition to our regular scholarships that we provide all of our transfer students. We currently have about 40% of our students come as transfers. This is a very important population for us. Every graduation that we have, usually on average, anywhere between 45 and 55% of the students who graduate every year started as transfer students at Wayne State. And we've recognized that population, and we've been making major investment in supporting them. We have a Transfer Student Success Center to facilitate their transition and to make sure and minimize the time and the loss of credit when they transfer. We have been this past year, and we've launched our new Pathways program that opens up the ability to transfer from not just from Associates of Science and Associates of Arts, but also applied Associates of Applied Science and Arts, which was not something that we did before. So someone in a technical degree at a community college has a path to a 4-year degree. We believe that education is really the key. There are jobs certainly that may not require a bachelor's degree now, but they will. And I think having that bachelor 4-year degree is important, and for their long-term social mobility and economic mobility. We wanted to make sure that we facilitate and provide that for them. And so through the Pathways program, we've moved away from articulating from just like degree to degree, one program to program. It's really, we're opening up. So if you take, for example, if you're in any health related program at a community college, you can transfer to our public health program or some of the other programs that we have that are related, or biology program. You're not limited like you used to before. And again, that we did this because we know there are great opportunities for them. They need, we encourage students to take advantage of the Michigan Reconnect and other free tuition options to minimize their cost and earn their degree, and again, the fastest time possible and at the least expense possible.
Ahmad, you kind of led right into that next question, so I appreciate you doing that. It's, the three of us, it's our jobs to know these different programs, in and out, to explain the details, to know how it all works together. But for any Michigander who's just trying to even get a sense of what's out there, do you all have any like websites or resources you would recommend for people who are just trying to see if they qualify for something like Reconnect, or if their kid qualifies for any sort of aid? Where should these people be going?
I'll put 2 links in the chat. They're both really easy to remember. Michigan.gov/Reconnect is where you can get information about Reconnect. So the target is those that are 25 and older. If you go to michigan.gov/achievement, that will take you to the Michigan Achievement Scholarship page, where you'll also see links to other state-based aid programs. That is the new investment that was mentioned, that's just pretty monumental, generational. We have never seen this kind of investment in student financial aid before, and we are just really applaud the legislature, last year's legislature, and the governor for bringing achievement to the table. So it will provide up to $2,750 a year for 3 years for students attending community college, up to $4,000 each year for 5 years for students attending an independent college or university, not for profit, and up to $5,500 for students attending attending great institutions like Wayne State University and our other public universities. That will make a tremendous impact on frankly student debt levels, and make all college incredibly affordable. And then I'll also put a link in sorry, I just saw Going Pro in the link, to Pathfinder, which is a really great resource for exploring paths to careers, where you can actually look up various career pathways, the types of degrees and certificates that you need to enter into those careers, and then the colleges in Michigan that offer them, and then outcomes for those colleges. So it's a really good, frankly, tool for the customers of higher education, students and families, to make a path. I saw a question just real quick while we're talking about it. You know, is there a program for graduating high school students to go to community college tuition free? No, not yet. The Michigan Achievement Scholarship, though, makes a really, really big dent. Can't go all the way to say it's completely free, but it makes a significant dent. And then in addition, I will say that there are a number of promise zones throughout the state, inspired by the Kalamazoo Promise, but funded in a different way all over the state, where community college and then money toward a four-year university is also available. So communities like Detroit and Lansing and Pontiac, Saginaw, Baldwin, Michigan. At one point in my career, I could have named them all in alphabetical order, but there are a number of communities to support. And then that's all of that aid also is sort of bolstered by federal investments in student financial aid, and namely the Pell Grant. The Pell Grant is really the undergird of our financial aid system provided by the federal government. The only way to unlock it is by doing the FAFSA. I can't believe that's the first time I used the word FAFSA in this webinar. I don't think I've ever gone 27 minutes without saying FAFSA.
This is Brandy's favorite word.
It's my favorite thing to talk about, but the Pell Grant also helps make college tremendously more affordable.
So Brandy covered many of the things I want to talk about. So the Detroit Promise, the Detroit Regional Chamber and Detroit Drives Degrees push that. Through that, students can go to any community colleges in the region here, or to Wayne State actually for free. The Michigan Achievement Scholarship is a major investment that I think we're all very grateful to the governor for really pushing through. Because of the Achievement Scholarship, we are able to now, and we announced a few weeks ago, the Wayne State Tuition Guarantee, which is if a student has a family income of $70,000 or less, they can come to Wayne State tuition free. And I just put the link on that to that in the chat. FAFSA, complete your FAFSA by May 1st and apply by May 1st. So we have a few more days. Whoever is listening here, we still have till Monday to take advantage of that. But that's really significant. So if you think about it, I mean, that's going to provide the Michigan Achievement Scholarship in general, and our guarantee, and I know there are other guarantee similar programs, provide a major opportunity for students to really pursue an education at a lower cost, or if at all. So I think there are a lot of investments that have already been made, and it will take some work to maneuver through all of those. But I think with some effort, students can take advantage of them. We are reach out. So I would say reach out, go to our website, go to the admissions website, and through there you will be able to find your ways. I put the link to our transfer program here, and through that you can ask any students who is at a community college or pursuing transferring, or have some college degree, have some credits from another institution. They can figure out how to to get to us through that. I'd like to also mention a program that we have, also our Warrior Way Back, which is a debt forgiveness program, and we have a unit that focuses primarily on adult students who are either returning, they've had some college but never finished, and through that program, we work with students one-on-one to really facilitate their restart of their degree and completion of their degree. We have advisors who work specifically one-on-one with them to figure out what's the fastest path to completing their degree. If they owed a balance, we are now waiving up to $4,000 of that balance for them, so they can start continue pursuing and earning their degree. We don't want that to be a hurdle, and it's surprising because when we put that, when we announced the program, and over the years, we've had students who were short a course or two, or were short for, had a balance of $500, and they stopped and didn't earn a degree because of that. So that's something that we really wanted to change, and we've made another investment. It used to be $1,500, so this year we've raised it to $4,000.
Thank you for that. So it seems like, and I'm seeing in the chat, we have some folks that are really interested in the resources available for recent graduate high school students. We have people who have some college but no degree, people who have some college, some debt, no degree, and people who are trying to further their education. So please keep asking questions in the chat. We're compiling a list of all your questions, and we will get to them as we're going through. I do want to talk briefly about trade schools. I know that there's a lot of people who they don't think college is the right fit for them, but they do expect to get some sort of training elsewhere. Are there any resources either of you can point toward for trade school, or helping people who know they want to do something after high school, but they're not 100% sure what that is?
Yeah, I'd be happy to answer it first. The secret in Michigan is that community colleges are the trade schools. Michigan is, there are other states that have a whole system of technical colleges or technical and trade schools that exist as separate entities from their community colleges, which are mostly focused on that transfer pathway that I mentioned. So, for example, Wisconsin and Tennessee have this whole sort of subsystem of trade schools. In Michigan, the design of our post-secondary education system is that those trades are really taught within the umbrella or the context of community colleges. So when people say, I think I want to go to trade school, I say, I think you want to go to a community college if you're living in Michigan, because that is where the certification, certificate, and degree programs in all of those construction trades really live. There's a couple of good examples of high quality trade schools in Michigan, but the vast majority of those that are pursuing the trades that have some sort of formal education really received that community college, or received that education at a community college. Community colleges frequently and often partner with unions and labor organizations to provide that classroom training that's part of apprenticeship programs. Kellogg Community College is a really good example of that, and there are a number of others. And so all of those financial aid programs that we talked about also apply to those that are pursuing trade certificates and degrees in the skilled trades. And then in addition, soon the Office of 60 by 30 within the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity will be rolling out some additional information about something called the Reconnect short-term training grants, which are grants for programs that are more on the non-credit side of the house, that are really just pure training programs, sort of skills training programs that help set you up for a career. And so we're also a leading state in offering financial aid for those short-term training programs.
Ahmad, is there anything you want to add on that point?
I would add that I encourage people to consider what's next after that trade school too. So, and don't limit themselves to that, because there are opportunities, there is need. Skills are changing, and they're going to require new additional skills. So whether they pursue them at the colleges, or also look at opportunities at four-year programs. What I mentioned earlier about us allowing now applied degrees to transfer to Wayne is really to provide that chance for students to get that advanced credential. It's not always an either or, it can be and it should be and you need to think about how can we continue they can continue to invest in their education and their skilling to make sure that they're keeping up with the demands and the changes in industry.
Thank you. So again, please continue to put your questions in the chat. We're going to go through some of those now, and as people have more, I'll add them to the list as well. But one reader asked, what is one improvement or change you would ask of the public school system, specifically in high school? I understand there are many answers to this question, but I'm curious what one thing schools can do right now to prepare students for college, trade school, the workforce, so that they can end up being responsible, independent adults who are contributing to society. Ahmad, do you want to start?
One thing, it's I think it's, let's see, this is a complex issue. K-12 and investments in K-12 is a complex issue. I think nationally, we need to invest a lot more in our school. We need to invest in supporting our teachers, paying our teachers a lot more than we are paying them. So from our perspective, I think the challenge that we see is really investing in improving their the basic skills, the math, the reading, the English proficiency. Those are critical skills that students need, and we need to continue to invest in that and make sure that schools have the resources to provide that support, that teachers have the resources, are equipped to provide that support. And I think you get there through the partnerships between universities, community colleges who are educating these teachers and graduating them and putting them in the school. So we need to make sure that we're connected on that front. But also, I think the environment has to, there needs to be a little bit more equity in how we focus on our K-12. And I know the state has some interesting proposals that will get us and move us in that direction.
Isabel, I'm going to say it. One thing, the FAFSA. The one thing that high schools could really do to make a tremendous, meaningful impact on students' futures is create an expectation that before they graduate high school, every single student complete the free application for federal student aid. It's paperwork. It's one thing that high schools can do that unlocks a million more possibilities for students, no matter what path they take. Even if they don't think that they are going to pursue college right away, it's also sort of an insurance policy so that if they, go to work and start working and realize it's not what they want to do and they want to go back to school, that FAFSA will be on file to help them be able to qualify for the Pell Grant and to qualify for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, qualify for Michigan Reconnect if they're 25 and older. It's the only requirement for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. What's really great is that the scholarship does not have a separate application. It is meant to be as least burdensome as possible, but you have to complete the FAFSA. Schools have access to data on which students have completed the form, which students have not completed the form. They don't have access to any of the personal financial data within that form at all. It's just a literal yes, no, have you completed the FAFSA or have you not? Schools should be using those lists to have conversations with students about their future. So if there was one thing, I think high schools do a tremendous job. They do so much in the way of dual enrollment and early middle college and early college credit taking opportunities, AP and IB. Their counselors and college advisors do a tremendous amount of work supporting students. I think one thing that they could do is really create kind of a cultural expectation of the need to do the FAFSA before they graduate high school.
Great point, Brandy. Totally agree.
Earlier this year, or I think it was maybe the first story I published of 2023, there was a headline that was literally like, more money for students if people just fill out this form, because it really, you fill out this form and then it opens a bunch of doors. And I know for a lot of people, like I know this has come up with Reconnect, for example, people who otherwise would have already gotten the Pell Grant but didn't know that they had qualified for this. FAFSA sort of opens up those doors. Along those same partnership questions, we also had a comment from someone who's a work-based learning coordinator at Detroit Public Schools Community District. And this person asked, they talked a little bit about what they've experienced with different students and whether they are ready to make a commitment to what's next. Is there more that we can be doing to help students be aware of all of these different types of programs, whether it's internships or apprenticeships or new college programs? What can we be doing to help those students?
I think there are a lot of resources available that are trying to get the word out on all those opportunities. And I think it's, I'll use something local here, the Detroit Drives Degrees and the Chamber, what they're doing with their compact and with their efforts in promoting and connecting employers with educational institutions and both at the K-12 and at the university and higher ed post-secondary level. So the resources are there. I think the challenge that we all have is there are too many activities sometimes, and we're not always. There isn't one hub where all that information is available. It's getting better. We're not fully there yet, but I think organizations like Brandy's can help because they have access to all of the colleges in the state and the resources that they provide. We have MASU here at the university level. So I don't know, Brandy, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I do think that the resources are there. It probably comes down to time and capacity. Exactly what Debbie just said is the time and capacity of the humans and individuals that can help students have those conversations. We have a vehicle or infrastructure to do this through the EDP process for high school students, which is a requirement. That all students have an educational development plan that they revisit every year in middle school and high school, that is supposed to have, some evidence of career exploration, some career goals, and then some back mapping of what it would take to enter into those careers. So obviously that can be more robust and strategic for how high schools help students with that. But at the end of the day, you need people to help students through that process. So whether it is school counselors, college advisors, post-secondary planners, work-based coordinators that coordinate with local employers to bring that sort of exposure. There's some phenomenal online tools that are really engaging with videos like I mentioned, Pathfinder, and I also put in earlier in the chat a program called Roadmap to Opportunity, which provides videos and one-pagers about those types of degrees, or sorry, I should say career pathways where you can enter with a certificate or associate degree, but then build on from there to get a bachelor's degree and a graduate degree in that field, which is really great. So I think having the human power to leverage all of these existing resources to have those really more robust one-on-one conversations with students is what's needed.
And then we had someone who sang your guys' praises, said, great job on creating learning opportunities for our young adults. I feel our supply side is in good hands with Ahmad and Brandy. However, how do we keep our advanced degree young adults in Michigan? Is there something we can do to help build that demand side?
This is, I think, where the connections with industry becomes crucial. And the efforts that the state through MEDC, through Leo, that hopefully will pay dividends and are starting to pay dividends. I think making sure that we have the opportunities for them and telling them about those opportunities. I think creating that environment where Michigan and Detroit and Michigan are a place where they can learn, work, and play. I mean, I think that's going to be key. I think we have those ingredients here, and it's a matter of keep continuing to tell that story and make sure that we are getting the connections that and highlighting those jobs that are available for them to take part of. And
Brandy, anything to add on that one?
Yeah, no, I don't think I have anything to add. Like you, Isabel, I'm a transplant born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona, but have found significant, professional opportunities in Michigan, and truly love this state. And I want to live here and raise my children here. And so I'm an example of someone that went the other direction. I was imported into Michigan already having a college degree. So I will continue to be a walking billboard for the beauties of pure Michigan.
Gotcha. We can take like one or two more reader questions. If anyone has some, you can put it in the chat. While we're going through that, I know that there was a question about if the Michigan Achievement Scholarship has any need-based eligibility. I can answer that, and then Brandy and Ahmad, if there's anything you want to tack on, just let me know. But so you have to fill out the FAFSA, and the FAFSA is going to determine if you have an expected family contribution of $25,000 or less, then you are going to qualify for the scholarship. It's important to know $25,000 or less, based on different estimates, there's a good chunk of Michigan students who are going to qualify for this money. So there's some complicated math involved, but let the FAFSA do the math for you. You just need to fill out the FAFSA and it will help give you some of that information. Did I get that right?
That's exactly right, factually. And what it translates to, what 25,000 EFC translates to is a really high means test, meaning this is not a program that is that's super targeted at those in most poverty, but frankly, like the Pell Grant. The means, Pell is not a good Pell eligibility is not a good indicator if you are going to qualify for the Michigan Achievement Scholarship. It will cover many, many, many more students that come from families, really the entire middle class and a little bit above that. We estimate that over 90% of students attending community colleges, based on their income profile, will qualify, and it's over 70% of students attending 4 years will qualify for Michigan Achievement Scholarship. So it's a really significant amount of the population. So there is a means test, but it's pretty generous.
And that's why for us, we thought we can even simplify it even more, and that's why we came with the guarantee. So it's, we use the $70,000 of income and $50,000 in assets, and with that, we believe that about 50% of our students will be able to go to Wayne State for tuition free. because of that.
So we've talked a lot about high school students. We've talked about some continuing learners. Obviously, it's almost 1 o'clock on a Wednesday, so we expect that high schoolers are in class right now, not watching our Zoom. But let's assume you have an audience of 500 high school students. Let's end on this question. If each of you had that audience, what is one thing you would tell these high school students about life after high school and what they should do?
Pursue your education, fill out your FAFSA, and plan to go to post-secondary education. Go either to a community college or to a university. We are privileged to have some amazing institutions in the state, and they should not waste that opportunity. If they want to take a semester or gap year, do that, but then plan on coming back and getting your post-secondary education and pursuing that credential and that degree, because it's going to be essential for your social and economic mobility.
Yeah, I could not agree more. You need to earn another piece of paper, at least one more piece of paper after your high school diploma. 50 years ago, a high school diploma alone as your terminal credential was enough to compete in Michigan's economy and secure your place in the middle class and have a great job and provide for your family. And that is just not the reality we live in anymore. You really can't stop with your high school diploma and expect not to live below the poverty line or, not qualify for public assistance programs. If you are going to be able to pay, earn a living wage in Michigan, you need education beyond high school. There's lots of good options. Find the one that's the right match and fit for you, but you need, whether it's a technical certificate, an applied associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, and beyond, high school diploma is not the end point. And I think we need to make that really crystal clear from the perspective of just the labor market to our high school students.
Gotcha. And if you all joined late or anything, we have a lot of resources in the chat that talk about other options for people who are maybe older, coming, they're past high school, maybe they have kids, maybe they're a little older, what different options exist and how you can help pay for trade school or college or a four-year university. So I'm going to turn it back to Amber right now, but thank you so much, Ahmad and Brandy, for answering all of these questions, and I'll let Amber close us out.
Thanks, Isabel. Brandy, Ahmad, thank you so much for being our special guest today. I think we all learned a lot during this conversation, and we really appreciate you taking the time to share your expertise with us. Thank you to Isabel for moderating today's conversation, and to the participants that are here today. Thank you for all of your questions, for your comments. I think this has been a really robust conversation, and I'm appreciative of it. Just a reminder that we were recording today's session, so we'll post that recording on our website, bridgemi.com, later this week. So if you know someone who could benefit from viewing this conversation, please feel free to share that recording. Our May lunch break event will be announced very soon. You'll see that at bridgemi.com very soon. We'll let you know what the topic and date of our next conversation will be. Please have a wonderful day. Thank you again for joining us, and we will talk to you again next month. Take care.
Thank you all.
Thank you.